All right. Hi, everybody. My name is Brianna Mejia Hans, and I am with Lydia Fleming. We are mental health and wellness peer educators here at U of M-Dearborn, and our job is just to do student-to-student outreach, just to raise awareness of some initiatives and mental health programs that we have here on campus at CAPS. And one of them is through Mental Health Monday, where we choose a topic. And our topic for this week's Mental Health Monday is mental health spring cleaning. So what is spring cleaning? I'm sure a lot of us are more familiar with it, especially because we live in a colder climate like Michigan. Spring cleaning is the thorough cleaning of a house, room, or other space, typically undertaken in the beginning of spring. Like I was saying, it's typical in colder climates, or like climates with colder winters. I know I'm familiar with it just because my mom was really big on that. Spring cleaning, and we want to raise awareness that spring cleaning is not just for your house. It's also helping you physically and mentally prepare yourself for a new, warmer season, which is what we're going to get into today. So first, I want to touch over the physical health benefits, because if you're not feeling your best in your own body, then it's going to be really, really hard to get into that good mental health space that you need in order to spring clean. So first off, we can start by talking about how spring cleaning in your house removes mold and germs that cause sickness. And it also reduces allergy and asthma symptoms caused by dust and allergens. Spring cleaning your house also keeps pests like bugs and rodents away, which is really big because they like cluttered, dark, dirty places. Also, the physical activity of cleaning itself, like scrubbing, mopping, sweeping, anything that kind of gets you moving, it produces endorphins and burns minimal calories, but it's still enough to get your heart racing, and get your blood pumping. Spring cleaning also improves your ability to sleep. Studies have shown that making your bed in the morning increases your chances of a good night's rest that night by about 20%, which might not sound like a lot, but sleep is super important, and it can like affect your whole next day, your whole week if you just get one bad night's sleep. And it's really hard to focus on sleeping if you know your mind's running because your room or your house is just messy in general. Another physical health benefit of spring cleaning is it can improve your diet. So it's also been found that chaotic physical environments cause people to eat more sweets and high-fat foods compared to non-chaotic physical environments. And it also increases your safety by reducing the risk for fires. So if you have envelopes or papers or anything flammable piling up, if you light a candle or even like something sparks, that can increase your risk for fire. And also trip hazards, if you have, shoes lying around or anything, and if you're walking around even from day to night and you can trip over it and injure yourself. So those are some physical health benefits of spring cleaning. And then we can get into the mental health benefits for the rest of this presentation. Spring is a great time to let go of or reframe any negative thoughts and behaviors. And that's because spring cleaning can help you gain a better sense of control over your environment and life. It clears clutter that may overwhelm your brain's ability to focus. It lowers stress and boosts mood, like we were talking about how it can even boost endorphins. That's a really big thing. And it can also prepare you to make positive changes in your life. And some major areas that we're going to touch on today are adopting and letting go of habits, going over your relationships, and also setting priorities. So first, we can start by saying that seeking and maintaining healthy relationships can be a really big thing that you can focus on as you start your spring cleaning. This period of renewal can double as a period for reflecting on relationships that may or may not be healthy and helpful for you. So when you focus on this, a big thing is I use the model of past, present, future. So thinking on your past, reach out to healthy past relationships, keyword healthy. Think of any people that you might have lost touch with, that you really miss. You guys brought a lot of support and motivation to each other's lives, and you just want to reach out. And it doesn't really matter. It's up to you on how long that can be. You can either just drop in and just check on how they're doing. I'm sure they'll appreciate that. or you could, reignite the friendship or relationship in any way and keep them in your life. Just as long as you know that they're healthy for you, um, and your priorities and your life goals, everything like that. Make sure they're supportive. For your present, identify and nurture your current friendships and relationships. So think of anybody in your life right now that could be a friend, a family member, a significant other, anything like that, that has kind of always been there for you. And I know life can get super hectic. And I think just taking time to slow down and just check on them, even just shoot them a quick text just to say, I love you. How are you doing? I know for me, that would be a super helpful thing and just nice to know because some people like to just be acknowledged by people that they care about, that they're still thinking about them. So that's a really big thing with spring cleaning, is just kind of identifying, acknowledging those relationships and taking care of them. And for your future, looking forward to your future, it's best to step away from relationships during spring cleaning because we're kind of getting rid of that clutter. And not to compare people to clutter, but it can clutter your mind if you have unhealthy relationships or people are draining your energy. Not to start drama, but just to peacefully and respectfully stepping away from people and relationships that do more harm than good for you, because that is going to set you up for a brighter, happier future. Because those types of relationships really just kind of take away from all the progress that you're going to do, that we're going to go over later. They take away from all that progress just because it can drain your energy and it can mess up your progress just by hurting you more than doing good for you.
So I'm going to focus more a little bit on those habits, as she was talking about earlier. So an important part is dropping some more unhealthy habits during spring cleaning. So before you pick up new habits and kind of make goals for your future and figure out what you want to do with this cleaning, find out things that are making it a little bit more difficult for you to maintain healthy habits first. So think about like kind of daily activities and what you've been doing that's been adding some stress to your life. And instead of just trying to instead of thinking I was wrong, how can I fix this right away? First, focus on kind of just backing up from those habits and practicing not doing them before just trying to completely change them and adjust how you're living in the moment. It's going to be a lot more difficult if you just try to fix everything before kind of just stepping back and realizing where you are. So I kind of just put a little tip right there, which is putting the unhealthy habit in writing. This way you won't really forget it as easily, and it can kind of make you focus on adjusting it more once you've been able to drop it. So just realizing like this is something I do that's negative, write it down or verbalize it, make sure it's known so you can focus on kind of backing away from. And then the second thing is to just be a little more mindful as you start to declutter and clean everything up. Think about the behaviors and habits that got you to that point. And like I said before, kind of just focus on backing away from them a little bit before you're just completely rearranging yourself. And with that, it's important that you don't judge yourself or compare those behaviors to others because they may be considered unhealthy to you or to other people, but they were there for a reason at that time and they were doing something for you. So kind of blaming yourself or feeling bad about it isn't going to help you in the future. And then we're moving on to some adopting some healthier habits once you're able to drop those bad ones, back away from them a little bit. The first thing I think that really helps me at least is focus on season chores first. The weather is getting nicer, so focusing on chores that kind of remind you of this warm weather and everything getting a little bit nicer and brighter outside can really encourage you to get down to some of those things that aren't as exciting. So focus on the things that are exciting for you. Bring out those warmer clothes, clean the patio or outside. Like kind of emphasize more that warm weather and the happy changes that come with the season before you really start focusing on those more difficult tasks that aren't really as exciting to think about, and kind of focus on just encouraging yourself to get through those seasonal ones and then move on from there. So just like I said, spending time on the chores that kind of excite you for the season more can encourage you right away. Also, just start building those habits for the season. So if it's, for example, cleaning a patio, if it's going to get you excited for that warm weather, it's going to kind of encourage you to continue to do that throughout that season and start early to build those healthy habits. And as you drop more unhealthy habits, think about what does actually work for you. Don't focus on what may have gotten you stuck before or stuff that you kind of struggled with there. Think about things that you're doing that are already good for yourself. Even just dropping those unhealthy habits can really be a positive aspect of your life, and focus on those accomplishments a little bit more. So this can kind of inspire you into what other healthy habits can be adopted by figuring out what has been working and how you can implement that more into different aspects of your life. Like Brianna said in the first slide, that spring cleaning isn't just for the house. It's not just for your apartment or where you live. It can be for your mind too. This can very well be a mindfulness thing, and focusing on kind of spring cleaning your thoughts and your feelings and just everything going on with you mentally. And they are very like interconnected, the spring cleaning for your mind and just for your physical space as well. So focusing on what you consider to be your priorities at the moment is a really important aspect of this. It's when you're kind of trying to do that spring cleaning for your mind, you're focusing on getting rid of those more negative or unhealthy thoughts, stresses, tensions, and bringing in a happier mindset that can be better for you. So focus on what you consider to be your priorities to help you get to that point. Something I like to do, and something that a lot of people find to be helpful, is making a short-term and a long-term to-do list. Here you can add the projects that have been cluttering your mind a little bit more and figuring out what you've been putting off. So like unfinished assignments you started, hobbies you wanted to try, and really just anything that's been taking up space in your mind and you know you don't really want it to be. You can kind of organize those into short term and long term, and there you'll be able to tackle the ones that might be more short term right away and get those out of the way. So now you're just giving yourself a little bit more space to focus on those long term ones. Making that list really can help you figure out, what can I get done now that I've been putting off, and how is that going to help me feel a little bit better? The second thing I have here is sweeping away any self-criticism that you're holding on to. This can be a really difficult task. I know self-criticism can be pretty consuming and very easy to fall into, especially if there is some unhealthy habits that have been bothering you, or you're just a little bit more stressed out. It's very easy to get into that mindset of, this is my fault, or I'm doing something wrong that's making my life like this. So it can take a really long time to work on and improve. Self-criticism is very common, and it can be really damaging to your mental health. So realize right away with this that it's not going to be an immediate change. You're not going to be able to just change how you think about yourself and everything and just be happy and all of that right away. Just kind of focus on slowing it down a little bit more and thinking more positively about what you have been doing, and focus a little bit more on what could make you feel better. So I find a way to really help is verbalizing more positive thoughts out loud. Makes it a little bit more difficult for those hurtful ones, that self-criticism, to take over when you're like proclaiming those happy thoughts and making yourself feel better about it. So lastly, kind of make cleaning your mind a little bit more of a routine. Just like spring cleaning, you want to make sure that you make habits that kind of last throughout like cleaning your windows. You want that to be more of a routine so you don't get stuck in that way and have to really deep clean again. You can just focus a little bit more on cleaning it throughout the year. So making your cleaning your mind a routine as well can be done in really similar ways. Just take time to work on that positivity towards yourself. And if you have to put aside some specific time for that, I really recommend doing that. Finding what works for you, saying, I'm going to need just 10 minutes every day to kind of maybe just listen to music, sit down, relax, think about things that are stressing my mind, taking up space, and figuring out how to tackle those for the next day. It can be really positive and really beneficial to you. And then I know we both went over a lot of things that can be really difficult to get started with, just because even though you make those short-term, long-term lists, or you focus on the smaller things first, it's still a lot that you have to go through, and a lot that is expected of you that sometimes just you put aside because it's so much to just get started with. So I just found 6 simple little tips that might help you get started. The first one is to create a spring cleaning checklist or find one online to try to avoid being overwhelmed. When you don't have it written down or like really know what you need to do, it can be a little overwhelming to just keep remembering things that need to happen and then forgetting them and remembering them again. It can kind of lead to that unhealthy habit of just like putting it aside again and again because you forget and then you remember, but you don't have time. So making a checklist and adding to that as necessary really lets you see what needs to get started on. The second thing is when cleaning, try to start small. Focus on cleaning one space. Don't think that you're going to tackle it all at once or you're going to focus on a huge area and get that done. Focus on smaller areas. Say I'm going to do the bathroom today, or I'm going to focus on the shower today, and working from there. And that kind of leads into the third one of making a schedule. It doesn't happen in one day. You're not going to clean your entire apartment or your entire house in a day or even a week sometimes. It's a process. There's a lot you need to do, and giving yourself time in that schedule and kind of a buffer when things come up can be really helpful to keeping you on track, but also giving yourself some space. The fourth thing is open up the windows. I know it's a little cold out right now. Hopefully the weather is going to be getting warmer during this time. And if possible, let some fresh air into your home. Or maybe just go for a walk and get some of that fresh air. When you're cleaning, it can get a little crowded feeling because sometimes you have to create some more clutter before you can declutter. And just giving yourself some space and some room to breathe can be really helpful in tackling that. The fifth thing is play your favorite music while you clean. Time goes faster when you're listening to music that you enjoy. If you're focused on this cleaning and you're spending a lot of time on it, it might just be best to put on a playlist that gets you a little bit more excited to be doing what you're doing, and you can kind of zone out a little bit and listen to that music while you clean and focus that way. And lastly, if you find your list overwhelming, focus on the outcome of completing your list instead of the entire list. Pick 1 or 2 things that you're going to do for that day. So you have a whole list of everything you need to do. Pick 1 or 2 or just as many as you think you can handle for that day, and focus on making that an outcome. Don't look at the whole list and see everything you have to do. Kind of pick it apart and figure out what's going to be best for you at that moment. And then focus on how it's going to be once you do complete those items. So if you're stressed, you got a lot going on for the day and cleaning the kitchen, but you end up getting to the refrigerator and you're able to clean that really well. Look at that outcome. Even the smallest little things might make a really big improvement for you. And it's a thing to check off the list, a thing you don't have to think about for a while. And it just makes you feel good about yourself. So really spend time looking at those successes and not all that you have to do. So that's going to conclude our presentation today on spring cleaning. We have some information here. We first have the email for CAPS, which is UM-Dearborn caps@umich.edu. If you have any more questions, if you have anything you'd like to add, just any support at all during this time. I know it's kind of a busy time of the year. So there's their email as well as their phone number, 313-593-5430 that you can call to get in contact. And if you're on campus at any day, that is their location, just right above where you walk in the front doors for the University Center, the UC. Just go right up those stairs and it's going to be right up top there at 2157 UC. You can walk in to speak to someone, make an appointment, ask a question, anything like that. So thank you so much for listening today to us speak and explain this to you. And I hope you have a great rest of the semester.